أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We continue our theme for Ramadan, تربية الشخصية القرآنية كيف تكون وما لا تكون, developing the Quranic personality, how to be and what not to be. And we focus on the concept of nasiha. Nasiha is an Arabic term that in essence implies ikhlas or sincerity. And we find this is how it's used in the Quran amongst the many ways that it is used in the Hadith and Quran. Among the ways it's used is to imply the notion of sincerity. For example, Tubu ila Allahi tawbatan nasuha. Turn to Allah in repentance with a sincere repentance. In this sphere, nasuha implies the notion of purity of intention and sincerity. The great historian Ibn Athir, he was a historian and a biographer, not Ibn Kathir, who was a mufassir. Ibn Athir, who was a biographer and a historian, he said, النصيحة كلمة يعبر بها عن جملة هي إرادة الخير للمنصوح له. Nasiha is a comprehensive term, a comprehensive word, referring to those actions that are done with sincere intention. So nasiha may actually embody every type of virtue which is reflected in genuine and beneficial actions. In fact, the notion of nasiha in Islam is an overarching, interconnected concept. And the most famous hadith about nasiha is not necessarily about nasiha in the form of advice as we know it, and though I'll deal with that, it is about how you connect in your relationship with particular people. For example, or with the Creator, or with the Prophet. For example, the most famous hadith about nasiha is the Rasul said, Ad-Deenun Nasiha, hadith in Sahih Muslim. Someone said, towards whom, Ya Allah? Who, you said deen is nasiha. Towards whom do you make the nasiha? Rasul said, Lillahi wa li rasulihi wa li a'immatil muslimin wa ammatihim. To Allah, to the Prophet, to the leaders, and to the general public. Now, when you say nasiha to Allah, it doesn't mean you're advising Allah. In this case, it implies your intimate relation with Allah and your interconnectedness, which implies your belief in Allah, worshiping Allah, obeying Allah. And you obey Allah by following His revelation, and that revelation is the Quran, and we obey and follow the revelation by believing in it, the Quran, understanding it to the best of our ability, by reciting it correctly if we can, by reflecting upon its meaning and implementing its guidelines. That's towards Allah. Then towards the Prophet, it is affirming the mission of prophets, all of them, and Rasulullah is the final of them, and we follow their example as models of excellence. Then towards leadership, you elect appropriate leaders, obey them if they're right, challenge them if they are wrong, and replace them if it's necessary. That's nasiha towards the rulers. When it comes to the people at large, it's protecting the honor, the life, the property, doing what is beneficial, guiding people towards what is right, removing harm, being just, being honest, and being compassionate. So this is lillahi wa li rasulihi wa li a'immatil muslimin wa ammatihim. But nasiha, when you speak in daily language and in generality in the Quran, it refers, in the Quran 13 times it comes up, it refers primarily to the purpose and function of prophets. And it's linked directly in the Quran to prophets like Nuh, Salih, Hud, Shu'aib alayhi salam, to all of these prophets. And all of them in the Quran you find they inform the people that the nature of the mission was وَنَصَحْتُ لَكُمْ وَأَنْصَحُ لَكُمْ. These words are used, in other words, we caution you, we guide you as sincere advisors. Now, in our situation, giving good advice is a great thing. Yet, some people, in fact most people sometimes, run into trouble because the way they offer the nasiha. The way they offer the nasiha. Few people are born with the gift of advice. Very few people are born with the gift of advice or the ability to give advice tactfully or to offer constructive criticism effectively. Very often when we do it, we actually hurt or harm the people. Most people neglect propriety or appropriateness when advising and tend to forget that the main point of nasiha, of giving advice, is to help the other to become a better person or to do better, not to demean them, not to belittle them, not to make them feel unworthy. The ability, therefore, to give advice is a positive thing, is a constructive thing, And if you can do it positively and constructively, then you've mastered the art of nasiha. If one intends to offer advice, may I advise you, it is useful to consider the following things. One, examine your motives. Why you tell people when you give nasiha, why are you giving the nasiha? إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Always check your intentions. Second, ask yourself if the advice you are about to give will really help the person, and will it improve the situation? Will it worsen the situation, or will it damage the person? Will it help the person? If it is so and improve the situation, then give the nasiha. And thirdly, most importantly for us, avoid deflection. Sometimes people get advice in order to deflect from their own shortcomings. You know, you avoid dealing with your own problems, so you give nasiha to other people. Do this, do this, do this. And that's why some of the people of Tasawwuf said, أولئك الذين ينشغلون بإخبار الآخرين بأن يكونوا صالحين فقد لا يجدون وقتا ليكونوا جيدين. In other words, there are people who are so engaged, so preoccupied with telling other people what to do, they don't find time to be good themselves. So be a source of nasiha. A nasiha which is good and positive and uplifting. Let us not be of those who demean or belittle under the guise of nasiha. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.